Don was really excited about the Hall of History in Berkeley when he went out there, and we were getting ready to celebrate our iHouse's 75th anniversary, which was coming up in 1999. So we worked on it, and it was dedicated in November 1997. I think some on this call were there, along with David Rockefeller, Abby O'Neill, John Whitehead, and Catherine Davis. And with a couple of minor updates, it has remained pretty static ever since. So it's an exciting project. And as we begin work on the Cuneo Hall of History, we are very fortunate in that our archives have never been in better shape. They're housed now in a beautifully outfitted space with proper storage, climate controlled environment, and a great, wonderful full-time archivist, Carolyn Donadito, as Brian also said. So as we undertake this new project in Don's memory, we're fortunate to be really well equipped to do so. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Jonathan Alger. I'm the managing partner of C&G Partners. We're here in New York City as well, and we are a specialty design firm for nonprofits, cultural arts, and the public sector. So I'm going to take you through a creative concept that we have for you, and it's basically going to be a tour, as if we're walking through the space itself when it will exist towards the end of this year. Let's start with the area called International House and. So this is a large main space. It is defined by 8 columns, and it's also the part of the room that you enter first, however you may be arriving in the room. And here's a quick look, one of our sort of artistic watercolor looks at what this will look like when you arrive from the most common direction, and we're arriving from that direction in this view. You'll see that the room has some wonderful new things in it. It has color, it has displays, it has some vibrancy that are going to be added. And it also has 2 new display tables. These vitrines are archival grade, and they can display objects from the archives, not just images or videos, but objects from the archives. And in the back, you see that we have these unique vertical display units. And in the far distance, right at the far end, you can even see a new kind of wall frame unit. You may get a sense that all of these are lit. They're all lighting themselves. Let's take a closer look at those content columns. There are 8 columns. Architecture nerds like me would call those pilasters, but let's just call them columns. And there are 2 kinds. There's the visual content type, and there's the digital content type. The visual content type uses reproduced graphics and extends it over the entire height of that column. That's a nice tall column. And we can have a whole variety of different subjects there that might include things like civil rights at International House or women at International House. On the right, the digital content columns are a type that use 2 stacked vertical high-resolution monitors to be able to show more than one piece of content in one place. It's like digital signage or like a mini media wall. And here we would be able to, for example, before a big Sunday supper, like one coming up next year, we could have a rotating slideshow of 100 Sunday suppers from the past in order to get people in the mood and probably maybe even see themselves in the exhibit or people that they know very well. So a little bit on the content for this section. Here's one example. One example drawn from the archives. Everything is drawn from the archives here. Would be a very notable member of the community in the past, Leontine Price, a famous singer. We have her resident application. She's looking terrific, and that's her handwriting and her autograph, 1951. And in the same year, there she is on the right, performing in Davis Hall. Another topic might be civil rights at International House. So here's a photograph from the archives of a Black History event in the main lounge right around 1975. And on the right, a Black History program from the house in 1971. It's interesting how many things from the archives seem like they are from today. Everything is constantly relevant, and that's what's interesting about archives. Going back to the floor plan, let's continue our tour. I think we're kind of going clockwise. So we'll look at the southeastern corner. This is the area about history and founding. And I'll also introduce you to one of our special features that is in this area and in one other area, and that is a corner lounge. Right now we have some occasional seating there, kind of gets moved around if you're doing an event. We're going to upgrade that and make it a really great place to hang out bring a little bit of modern decor in there. We've got some seating poofs. We've got some elegant, warm lamps. We've got some window treatments and floor coverings and a table that's infused with content. We're going to actually print content inside the table so that even people who are resting with their laptop get a dose of the history of the house. And it's organized so that there is also a walking path there so that even if people are hanging out before an event or when there's no event happening at all, when residents are just taking advantage of the space that is theirs to use, people can also walk around and among them and enjoy the exhibits that are on all of the walls of the space. Let's talk about those exhibits. In these parts of the room, we have new wall frames. They're bigger, they're deeper, they are able to house actual artifacts, and they are continuously lit. They also are in full color. We see three different ways to use these. On the far left, we can fill them with actual artifacts. In the middle, it could just be a graphic panel. It's actually just a graphic, a reproduction, but we can create high-res digital scans of artifacts, give them a drop shadow, and make a trompe-l'oeil effect that they're actually there. Why do we do that? Because sometimes the artifacts are so fragile that we actually don't want to display them, but they're terrific. So on the right, we have a hybrid model where we use both bright graphics and perhaps reproduced artifacts in the graphic layer along with actual artifacts. And for this inaugural exhibit, we think this is especially good because we want to be able to do something that we haven't done in years, and that is rotate and freshen the exhibits that are there on a relatively constant basis. In this topic, history and founding, we might show, for example, on the left, a 1935 vintage image of International House. There it is, looking stately. Sakura Park is its welcome mat. The river is to the left, and the Jersey Shore is in the distance. And there's Harry and Florence Edmonds at the house in 1931. They're really looking like a scene from a Merchant Ivory film at the balcony. Quite terrific. Continuing our clockwise tour, in the southwestern corner, we have our zone on people and programs. We think this is going to be a big favorite. And I'll also introduce you to another one of the special features that we're adding to the room that the room doesn't have right now. We call these genius bars, in quotes. There's no Apple technician behind that bar to help you with your iPhone. But it is a place where both residents between events and also people coming to events can perch, chat, relax. And if it's the case of a resident, they have a wonderful view out to Sakura Park, whether it's snowy out there or there's cherry blossoms, and they can perch there for as long as they like. It's equipped with power and everything that you would need, like you would expect in, for example, a modern airport concourse. Some of the topics there and some of the content straight from the archives are really terrific. In people and programs, this is sort of the US Today life section, right? The most popular. So we've got Resident Ski Club in 1952. I love that image because I'm wondering, what is the woman in the middle thinking? She's either thinking, how come my friend and I are the only women here? Or she may be thinking, why are we all going skiing wearing suits? On the right, the Fall Fiesta poster from 1968 appeals to the graphic design nerd in me because of the typeface and the use of silhouettes. It really feels like it's from its time, 1968. More people and programs. Here on the left, of course, a recognizable threesome, David Rockefeller himself, Colin Powell, and Don Cuneo in the Soros Room in 2006. And a few days later, iHouse Day in Singapore in 2014. We've got some notable figures in that picture as well. Some people that on this call will certainly recognize, and I think might have a few people in this call who are in that picture. People and programs resident experience. On the left, 1990, we've got the famous HR and residents at Fall Fiesta. And John Wells, if I'm not mistaken, I think we have a notable guest in the back row of this picture. Am I correct?
Yes, I think a few people might recognize in the very back row with the Australian version of a dark cowboy hat is Ross Youngman.
I'm glad you said that because I've been cautioned, do not call that a cowboy hat, especially to Ross Youngman. And on the right, the Halloween Festival in the homeroom in 1960. What's interesting to me is that we have a picture from 1960 on screen. We have a picture from 1990 on screen. And now it's another 30-year gap right now. Think about all of the history that the International House has enjoyed. Okay, I said I was going to kind of save the best for last. And I think all of these topics are equal. This isn't really the best, but it's truly something new for the room, and that's the treasures from the archive space. The way the architecture works, there is this sort of niche room in the center, and it has in the middle this half round window. So we've got 4 of these digital columns that I was mentioning before. They're the 4 center columns, 2 on this wall, 2 on the opposite wall. And they all have their double monitors, and they can show some terrific content, a lot of it. We can change it very quickly. And then in the center, we've got our treasures from the archives. The room looks like this right now. You see that half round window and the historic light fixtures. And we would like to turn that room into something special. On the left-hand side, we would like to create the biggest display case of them all so that we can display some really wonderful curiosities from the archive, like a whole lot of those application cards that are wonderful to browse from every era. And on the right, we would like to add an interactive element. It's large scale, it's a touch screen. And on that touch screen, we are going to be able to browse the archive, and we're also going to be able to watch some audiovisual material. That audiovisual material is going to be really quite rich. And I'd like to give you a little sample right now. Now, I'm going to give a little disclaimer. Depending on your bandwidth, the quality of the video you're about to see might be a little stuttery or whatever because it's streaming over Zoom. But rest assured, it will be of the highest archival grade. We're going to hear some words from the past.
Has changed. Our vulnerability has been highlighted. We in this room are in a unique position at International House to promote cross-cultural understanding, to communicate across and overcome differences, to sustain and champion our unequal diversity of 700 residents from 100 countries and many more cultures.
The following program is brought to you in living color on WNBC TV.
Around the world in 90 minutes. A variety of music, dance, and song was conceived, produced, and directed by Herman Rottenberg, and is performed constantly throughout the year. Its performers, members of the International House, are part of a group which is under the auspices of the Performing Arts Foundation.
When one reaches a certain age, people say nice things about you just because of your advanced years. But when an institution has dedicated itself for 75 years to the values of mutual respect and tolerance amongst people and between nations, as the International House has done, then there is a cause for celebration.
Again, I hope that everyone was able to see that and hear that very well, but if you had a little bit of a break in your audio, that's entirely to be expected. The touchscreen is going to be large scale. We've done a bunch of these before. And so you can see on the left, this is one we did for the Rockefeller University. In the middle, one we did for the Museum of American Finance. And on the right, one we did for a major pharmaceutical compounding company. So it's very large scale, and you can walk right up to it, touch it, make your selections. Of course, we are, as Brian said, going to be bringing this to the internet as well. So we're going to be creating something that can be seen in a wonderful way by people who are visiting the hall, and also by people around the world 24/7 from now on. All of the content in the hall can be seen online, and as content rotates, we can keep the content that was there before online, so people can even go back into the past of the exhibition itself. You know, I said that there were 4 major areas, but there's actually 5, and it might be that the 5th one is the most important of all. And that is over in the northwestern corner. There we have a space for donor recognition and to name the hall. This is the corner of the room that the most people will enter first the most often. And we have, of course, a new name for this Hall of History. We're very excited about that. We also have the potential to recognize others who may wish to get involved in supporting the hall. And we're going to do that the same way that we have recognized history and art throughout the rest of the project, by framing it and engraving it and having it there for the ages. And we have room for an ample number of names. And I think we're We're going to be hearing a little bit more about that from Brian and Sebastian. This is my most important slide of all. Thank you very much. And let's hear some remarks from our host for today.